Welcome to a Beast Game podcast. Today, we're looking at Rings. This would be a spoiler podcast. The director is F. Javier Gutierrez. He's done mostly overseas movies. It's written by David Luca, Jacob Estes, and Akiva Goldman. Luca wrote Dream House with Daniel Craig. Estes has written shorts and small budget movies. Goldman has done Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, and A Beautiful Mind. This is based in a series called Ringu by Koji Suzuki. It stars Matilda Lutz as Julia, Johnny Galecki as Gabriel, and Alex Rowe as Holt. The summary is a young woman finds herself on the receiving end of a terrifying curse that threatens to take her life in 7 days. All right, this is going to be spoilerific. We're going to do a quick overview. So Matt, you can jump in at any time, because I may miss something because we'll get into that later. The overview of the movie actually starts off with a person on an airplane. He's on a flight going somewhere, and he's shook about something. And then there's a girl beside him talking to him. Like, hey, this is the worst part of the flight, trying to ease his mind. And he mentioned to her about a video. So on this video, if you know anything about the Ring series, about the curse video, that you watch the video and you die in 7 days, you get a message saying you'll die in 7 days. And if you do not do certain things, you will die in 7 days. So the girl listened to a story, didn't really think too much of it. But then she told her girlfriend that was beside her in the plane, and she was like, oh, crap, that she knew about it. He got up because his nose started bleeding and went to the bathroom. When he looked into the mirror, his reflection was distorted. The girl's friend came up and confronted him and was like, hey, you watched the video. Did you make a copy? Did you pass it on? And then he said no. So then all the TV screens in the plane started showing the actual video. And to make a long story short, they crashed. They crashed because Samara was basically coming after him because it was past his 7-day mark. Then we fast forward 2 years later, Johnny Galecki's character, Gabriel, he's in like a pawn. What was it, a pawn store, Matt? Was it a pawn store?
Yeah, it was in a pawn store.
Okay. The professor went to the pawn store, and he was just looking at stuff, and then one of the girls was like, VHS player. He was like, oh, well, this VHS player belonged to someone that died in a plane crash. So it goes back to the character that died in the very beginning in the plane crash because he watched the video. The funny thing about that shit, this is only 2 years later. 2 years ago was 2015. So he still had a VHS player. Who has that? Moving on.
Vintage.
Yeah. And he said, oh, yeah, this is vintage. So then after that, he bought the VHS player and was playing with it. Got the tape out because the tape was actually stuck in there. Got the tape out, watched the tape, and then it cuts from there. And then it starts off with the main couple. And I'm just going to end it right there, and then we'll just go on from there. All right. So, Matt, since I did a quick overview, you're going to go ahead and start with your general thoughts of this movie.
The movie was made strictly to make money. It was not meant to reinvent the series or make any substantial changes. Typically, when you have remakes, you try to have them where they're bigger, better, or a certain kind of twist. No, neither of the above. As a matter of fact, they should have named the movie as an RI, because it was half of what the original Rings was, or The Ring.
You're being nice. You and I spoke about this before we start recording. I don't know if it's a remake or not. I don't have a clue. I hope it's not a remake. I'm thinking this is just a reimagining or just a continuation of what happened prior. You know what? They probably did a Days of Futures Past on this joint. Just totally just.
You know what? I wish they would have erased my memory watching it for the last however long as it was. Good Lord.
This movie was very painful to watch. Now, my general thoughts on this movie, I believe, from a person that loves the Ring series, the Japanese version and the American version, except for part two. Part two was the low point of that series. I'm very disappointed in this film. I was looking forward to seeing it, even though in my gut, I had a feeling that it was going to be bad just because of how movies are done now. They're just piss poor. I didn't really have high hopes for this. I still have faith. This really blew the living hell out of me. I was hoping for something better, but then there were telltale signs that this was going to be garbage because it was originally supposed to come out around Halloween, I believe. And then it got pushed back to February. So, I don't know why it got pushed back, but usually when a film has a date and it gets pushed back, it's usually not for good reasons. This is what we get. I don't even think that the original cut that they may have had in October would have been better. I just don't see it. There was nothing redeemable about this movie. The storyline was horrible. The acting was bad. There's an actor in here, like Vincent D'Onofrio. He's a good actor. I don't understand why he was here. They could have got someone else. He's not in need of money. I'm still trying to figure out why he was there. He's too good of an actor to waste his time. Like, the thing about this movie, and I say about all horror movies, is that you have to set a tone. There was no tone set. There was nothing to worry about. I wasn't afraid. I didn't care about none of the characters whatsoever. Matt, how did you feel about the characters? How did you feel about the tone? Did you see anything that, are we on the same page, or is there something that I missed?
The characters were emotionless. Like, who cares if anyone died? Because they lacked any kind of personality whatsoever. They were just people. That's all they were.
Yeah, they didn't have any charisma. There was no attachment to them whatsoever. None. I'm actually trying to rein myself in so I don't get off track. It should not have been made. Or if it was made, it should have been made and put a little bit of love into it. I think they just tried to bank off the name. The writers, I'm just looking at, things they've written. And then I see Akiva Goldman, Batman Forever. Like, Matt, I don't think you saw the Japanese version, have you?
No.
Okay. So I'm the only one that probably took a look at it. The Japanese version, in my opinion, it is on my top 100. It is a great movie. The storytelling was good. The acting was well done. It was well directed. The tone was there. I mean, one thing about J-horror, I would say they are at the top when it comes to setting the tone for a horror film. And Korean. They're just
excellent at setting the tone. They don't depend so much on special effects as, let's say, the Western world does.
The American remake, The Ring, was an exception to the rule. In my opinion, that was a good movie. Did a good job Americanizing a story, and it still worked. And even though they did keep some of the elements from the original, but they, like I said, they Americanized it, and it worked. It was a great movie. The imagery was great. The tone was great. It was directed by Gore Verbinski, I believe, and I believe that he's a good director. He knows how to set up a tone. He has a pretty good eye. It worked for The Ring. So, you saw The Ring before, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
So, what do you think? What do you think about The Ring and what you just saw today? Rings.
They're not even comparable. Not even close.
I agree. I mean, it's just
what we saw today, in my opinion, had nothing to do with the original.
I mean,
I felt like it was. They should have renamed it Child Protective Services Part 2.
And see, that's the fucked up thing about this movie.
They went away from horror rather than. And I understand what they were trying to do, emotionally connect. Was it Samara? Was that her name?
Yeah. Trying to get the villain emotions.
Yeah, I'm just like, it doesn't work well in this case.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like, for example, like when bad things happened on, what's the movie with, was it Tombstones? Walking Tombstones? Something like that? When bad things happened or whatever, in the movie, it felt creepy. It had that creepy element. The bad guys were a creepy element. This one, you're like, oh, you felt no connection. They didn't do a good job of building it up. Now, mind you, typically when you make a remake or a reiteration of a movie, you take what you already have and you can make it a little bit more, what is the word? More insight as far as how things happen.
Right. Yeah, go a little bit more background.
Yeah, not in this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because after a while, you actually forgot that this was a horror movie, and it started becoming like a
Child Protective Services. That's what it was.
CSI. That's what it seemed like it was becoming. It just took away from the lore of the Ring series. And the original and the American version did a great job. Now, it was done beautifully because it still told the story. You were invested into the characters. Creepy things were happening. And you were still on edge a little bit because you felt like you were in a race against time. In this, there was no sense of time. Like, you knew you had 7 days, but in the American version and the original, they did give you that sense of time. You knew that, okay, one more day down, another day down. This one was like, it was just seemed like it was just constantly going. You don't know, like, when did the day start? It was just all over the place.
You only knew in the beginning. That's it.
Right. It was just a bad movie. Now, we're going to go ahead and get scores. So, Matt, what do you give Rings?
I gave it a 3.
Okay. Why do you give it a 3?
I mean, it was poorly written. There was no sense of direction, whether it was reiteration, was a remake, what was it? What exactly was the identity of this film? Was this a horror movie? Was it a Child Protective Services movie? Was this a movie about the church? Was this a movie about cover-up? There wasn't like a real, what genre was this?
See?
And even if you thought it was a scary movie, did it really have you jump out your seat? Did it answer the mail? The answer was no, it did not.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, you guys set a tone. No tone was set. Now, you gave it 3. I'm going to do a first on the Beast Game podcast and record this, put this in the record books. I'm giving this movie a -3.
A -3?
-3. -3. This is perhaps the worst horror movie I've seen in the past 20 years. But I want everyone to know that this movie is a -3 in my eyes. I didn't care about any of the actors. I didn't know what was going on. The story was just stupid. It was so predictable. Who didn't put 2 and 2 together that once that girl, the lead character, she watched the video and her hand got burned, right? And then all of a sudden, she starts seeing visions and all this other stuff. And then they watched the video again. And one thing I didn't understand, they played the video again, right, Matt?
Yep.
It was her boyfriend and the professor. They played the video again, but what they did was kind of skip through it. Wouldn't that
mean that they got caught up in it again?
That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was just like, hold on, man. This doesn't make any sense. So then the thing that it was so predictable to the point that I was just like, come on, man. You're just basically giving us the story. You're giving it to us right now. So the images that you saw in the videotape was from Samara. Okay. That's what the gist of it was. The professor was trying to figure out what happens to the soul once you die. That was the whole reason behind all this. He used his students as guinea pigs. So he would get it
wasn't like that in the first movie, was it?
No.
I didn't think it was. I thought that little bit of the twist I thought was ingenious, but after that, no.
All of it was garbage. See, in the original version, it was more so like an urban legend.
Yeah, and it was a scary movie.
Right. This one, he was just like, okay, well, because he's the one who found the tape in the VCR. From that point on, he would just get the students to volunteer to watch the tape, but then he would set up a tale for them. And a tale in this was someone that, like, once you watch the tape, they'll watch it to relieve you of the curse. They got to keep it going. Keep it going. They got to watch it and make a copy and pass it along. Then once you do that, you're clear. So like I was saying, like once she got marked, her boyfriend said, oh, well, she got marked on the first day. Oh, what's happening? Oh, I got marked on the 5th day. Usually people get marked later. Well, obviously there's a reason why she got marked early, dumbass. And the reason why is because all of a sudden now that she watched the video, a new video was created. A video of the images that she was going to see. So you put 2 and 2 together that, maybe that she's going to be the next Samara. Didn't really hide shit there.
Not even close.
You knew that before the movie ended. So, and then when they said, well, it's over now. Nah, it's not over. You setting up for another movie. So right now, she's Samara, or Samara's in her, or Samara was reborn through her because that scar she had on her hand was in Braille. And why the fuck was it in Braille? Samara wasn't blind. That doesn't make sense. And one of the visions that she saw was a woman that was pregnant on the roadside. And she went to the town to try to find the body of Samara. Put 2 and 2 together. I mean, like I said, anyone that's watching this movie can figure out that the girl that was pregnant was Samara's mom. Because they said the backstory behind Samara was that no one knew where she came from. She was a baby. She was adopted to a family that couldn't have children. They knew something was wrong with her, and they basically threw her down in a well. Hence, her visions of the ring and all that. That's where the whole ring thing came from. That's where it all started. And then the guy that knew so much about Samara, he was actually her father. And he was blind. But that doesn't make sense on why all of a sudden she marks people with Braille. It doesn't make any sense. It was poorly written, poorly directed. There was nothing good about this movie. That's been the Beast Game Podcast. You can find more about podcasts at beastgang.com, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Tune in, iHeartRadio, Twitter, and YouTube.